Last Friday, President Biden vowed that following the footage of Border Patrol agents on horses appearing to whip Haitian migrants, that they would pay for it, that it was horrible to see, and that he would do something following an investigation. Well, we'll see about that. After all, this was his Border Patrol almost a year into his administration. But that said, even his mild criticism, his substance-free criticism, is too much for some people because now Republicans are coming out to support the agents whipping the migrants. Here's the first, you might recognize him.
Tens of thousands of illegal immigrants have overrun our borders in recent days while laughing in the faces of our Border Patrol agents. And they're going after the riders of the horses, not the people that came in illegally. Isn't that incredible? And they've just put them under watch. They're in big trouble, the riders of those horses. Most people would say they were doing one hell of a job, right? Don't you think?
Well, yeah, that's gonna get a nice cheer from the Trump crowd, yeah. So again, this is, like, do we need to dive into the deplorables thing again? This isn't, it's excessive, but I really do think we need to take seriously the situation at the border. No, this is find the people who did the worst, most violent stuff. The white supremacists, we got Haitian migrants coming in. We should literally be whipping them, and you take those people and lift them up. That is what this movement is. It's not some sort of accident. This isn't, with considerations for context. No, this is, we gotta find the people that are doing the most racist stuff we can find and lift those people up. They are the true victims. The people who are fleeing horrible circumstances that we have historically contributed to, they're the aggressors. How great are the people wielding the whips?
Super awkward for the Blacks for Trump in the background. I was just like, ooh.
Was it awkward?
I think some of them were like, okay, yeah. I mean, there's just, it stings a little bit, I'm not saying people don't have agency and they're not there. I'm sure they're there by their own will and volition, and that is fine. But damn, and it's sad. It's hashtag sad. That's all I have to say about that.
They know what crowd they're in. They're in a crowd of people that, like, what percentage of that crowd, like, on some level gets off on the idea of a black person being whipped? Honestly.
Yeah.
Do you think it's less than 75%? Honestly, they loved it. They cheered for it. They had it. I don't need to do hypotheticals. They could have booed Trump. Hey, and it's not like they never boo him. Remember when he encouraged them to get vaccinated like a month ago? They booed him.
They boo him, yeah.
So they will disagree with him if they want to, if they disagree with him. They do not disagree with him on this.
Yeah, you're right.
The Border Patrol needs to whip non-white people more than they are. That is what they are being very clear about. And it is not just them. I mean, it's not just Trump. Governor Greg Abbott said the fault for any misbehavior should be placed on Biden and members of his administration because they didn't keep the Haitian migrants from crossing from Mexico into Del Rio, Texas. So Biden is responsible, which, by the way, yeah, he is responsible for continuing a lot of the horrendous policies of the Trump administration. He didn't literally wield the whip, but he has allowed them to continue doing most of the nonsense they were doing while Trump was president. But Greg Abbott goes on to say, if Biden takes any action against them whatsoever, I have worked side by side with those Border Patrol agents. I want them to know something. If they are at risk of losing their job by a president who is abandoning his duty to secure the border, you have a job in the state of Texas. I will hire you to help Texas secure our border. So he'll word it a little bit differently than a Donald Trump. But he will, again, it is lifting up the worst of the worst and saying those are our people. It is reassuring the base that there is no act too barbaric, too racist that gets you written off by this team. You are a member of the team because you're doing those things.
Yeah, and hey, we'll recruit you to our new, vigilante little like border squad here, the KKK team, and have at it. Whatever, we'll give you all the whips that you want. We'll give you all the horses that you need. This is fine by us. And look, the reality is that Biden's on their side. because this was his border patrol. This was under his DHS. And guess what else? He's continuing deporting Haitians en masse back to a very unstable country. There's no plan for asylum. There's no plan to help people in the midst of a pandemic, earthquake fallout, political fallout in that country. No, Biden's on their side, but no one, and certainly not this show, is gonna praise him for that. But if Republicans were honest, Biden is doing exactly what they want, which is deporting migrants. I believe they should be able to seek asylum. That is actually in lockstep with US law, which has been suspended because of the pandemic, and Biden refuses to undo the Title 42 stipulations. So, it's a sad state because there's nothing that will suffice for right wingers' bloodlust when it comes to the border. Nothing is good enough, right? Well, why didn't they have 2 whips? Why didn't they have chains? That's what they want. That they want more bodies dead on the border. They want to celebrate that because somehow trying to seek a better life for your family is in and of itself a crime, even though their ancestors, their forefathers, all our forefathers, unless you were Native American, came here seeking that exact same betterment of their lives.
Yeah, and whether we know that sometimes Biden's horrified of doing something because he might get criticized. So sometimes I speculate that he's doing things so that he will get credit. He's not getting credit for continuing this, and it's possible that that's not why he's doing it. He's just doing it because this is what Democratic presidents do. They are barbaric at the border. That's a continuation of, you can go back to Obama, you can go back to Clinton, but again, the right wing doesn't care. You're giving them exactly what they want. The Haitian migrants were being whipped, but they have to still criticize him, even though he's doing exactly what they want. Insane. Anyway, let's go to this last video very briefly. See, I think Trump had a little more to say about what's happening at the border.
The police are saying, what do we do? This is an invasion.
They still believe the wall thing. After 4 years of him as president, they're gonna do the reruns, just play back the hits, I guess. And as many people have pointed out, on podcasts and things like that, they get even more explicit, saying that this is not just an invasion that is organic, it's being brought in by elites here. It's the sort of conspiratorial nonsense that has resulted in mass shootings, but they're going right back into it again because they don't care. That is not a problem from their point of view.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts on this before we move on?
No, just lastly, I think we're at a crossroads in this country, right? Because you see how easy it is to whip up this kind of racist hate when things aren't going your way, right? And I think that the thing, I'm like, you need to distract them. You need to jangle new keys in front of these folks who are just so ready to hate one another. And to me, the keys are hey, how about healthcare and a job and stopping climate change and so your home doesn't get flooded, ding a ding a ding a ding. And that sucks, you know what I mean? That's because what I actually want to do is y'all need to go to some kind of, racial sensitivity training, slash, re-education camp. Obviously I'm gonna get quoted on that, but no, it is hard. And you're just I don't know how to make you stop being awful. And my answer is you need to stop blaming migrants for issues in your own community that have everything to do with the rich and powerful taking more than their fair share and nothing to do with asylum seekers trying to, live.
Yeah. He's not calling for a more robust energy grid in Texas to protect them from freezing to death. He's not. We will. I criticize the myth of right-wing populism a lot. How many of these candidates do we have to watch before we can conclude that no, there's nothing about? It's not populist. It's not. It is just xenophobia. It is not a thing. They're not delivering anything. They say, "Oh, I hear you. You've been ignored. I hear you, and I will give you the same xenophobia we've always given you." It's not a different thing. Stop. Oh God, it's such a stupid myth.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.